My fiancé texted after canceling our wedding. I maxed out your credit card for my refreshment trip. You said you love me. I replied, enjoy. Then I reported the card stolen, disputed the charges as fraudulent since we'd been arguing for a week, and sent her the police report number. Her trip ended at the airport. I, 3rd male, am still trying to process the absolute train wreck of the last month. My wedding, which was supposed to be in 3 weeks, is off. My now ex-fiancée, Rachel, 30, called it quits. And how did I find out she was really handling the breakup? A text message. Rachel and I had been together for 5 years, engaged for the last one. Wedding planning was, well, it was wedding planning. Stressful, expensive, the usual. We'd been bickering more than usual for the past couple of weeks, mostly about stupid stuff. Vendor choices, guest list drama from her side of the family, the mounting costs. I figured it was just pre-wedding jitters. Apparently I figured wrong. Last Tuesday, she drops the bomb. I can't do this, Tyler. I need space. I'm calling off the wedding. Just like that. No real discussion, no let's try to work through this. Just done. I was gutted, obviously. Confused, angry, hurt, the whole damn cocktail. I tried to talk to her, to understand, but she was a brick wall. Packed a bag and went to her parents' place. I spent the next few days in a daze, starting the horrible process of calling vendors, family, friends, trying to salvage deposits, which, spoiler alert, is mostly a lost cause. I was already looking at a significant financial hit. My main credit card, the one with the highest limit that we'd earmarked for a couple of the final big wedding payments that thankfully hadn't been made yet, was in my wallet. I use it for most things. She was an authorized user on it, had her own card with her name. We'd agreed it was for emergencies or agreed upon big purchases. Fast forward to this morning. I get a text from Rachel. I'm expecting, I don't know, maybe an apology? An explanation? Details on how we're gonna untangle our lives? Nope. Hey, just landed. Needed a serious refreshment trip after all this stress. Maxed out your Amex Platinum for it. Spa package, new wardrobe, the works. You always said you loved me and wanted me to be happy. Don't worry, I'll pay you back. Eventually. My jaw hit the floor. Maxed out? My card has a $25,000 limit. She's talking like she bought a fancy coffee, not taken a blowtorch to my finances. Refreshment trip? After she blew up our lives? The sheer audacity. The flight and resort must have been booked in advance on the card, but the new wardrobe and spa package were clearly her immediate plans upon arrival. For a minute, I just stared at the text. The "you said you love me" part really got me, like that's a blank check for grand larceny. The old me, the one from a week ago, might have raged or pleaded or God knows what, but something in me just snapped, or rather went very, very cold. I replied, enjoy. Then I picked up my phone and called American Express. Hi, I need to report my credit card stolen and dispute a series of fraudulent charges. Okay, sir, can you tell me the card number and when you last had it? I have my card. My ex-fiancée, who was an authorized user, has taken her card after unilaterally ending our engagement and has informed me via text message that she has maxed it out on a non-emergency, unauthorized personal trip. We had been arguing for a week prior to her ending the relationship, and there was no agreement for these purchases. This is entirely fraudulent. I explained the situation, the canceled wedding, the text message, which I screenshotted and saved, obviously. The rep was surprisingly understanding. They flagged all recent transactions, the big ones, first-class airline tickets and a multi-night booking at a luxury resort, had already gone through. Likely booked a day or two before she texted me. But they noted the new wave of charges that were clearly part of the refreshment trip spree she just embarked on. Total damage was already climbing towards $22,800. They canceled her card immediately and started the fraud investigation. I changed all my online passwords, banking pins, the works. Then I forwarded Rachel the email confirmation from Amex with the fraud case number and the police report number I filed online for the unauthorized use. My text, FYI, have a great trip, or what's left of it. I haven't heard back yet. Part of me is waiting for the explosion. Part of me is weirdly calm. I've been a doormat in the past, not this time. This isn't about the money. Okay, it's a lot about the money. I'm not a millionaire. It's about the colossal, insulting, entitled betrayal. So Reddit, Ida for going nuclear? Or was this justified? Update 1. The meltdown, the parents, and the audacity posted approx of 3 weeks ago. Holy crap. You guys, the comments on my original post were a wild ride. Mostly supportive, which NGL helped a lot. A few calling me petty. But I think they missed the part where she basically stole nearly 23K dollars. So, the explosion I was waiting for? It came. And it was spectacular. It took a little longer than I thought. Rachel must have had a grand old time with her initial shopping spree on day 1, the new wardrobe she bragged about. The card would have worked for those boutique purchases right after she landed and before Amex processed my fraud report and canceled her card. The first sign of trouble for her probably came on day 2. I imagine her swanning into the resort spa for her pre-booked spa package only to have the card declined. That's when my phone started blowing up with texts. WTF, Tyler? They declined the card at the hotel spa. This is so embarrassing. What did you do? This is a huge misunderstanding. Call me now. You can't do this to me. I'll be stranded. The hotel is asking for a new card for the rest of the stay. I didn't reply to any of them. What was there to say? Then came the phone calls. I ignored them. Then the voicemails. The first few were her, alternating between screeching and fake crying. The best one was, "How could you be so cruel? After everything? I was just trying to clear my head. You know how stressed I've been planning your wedding." My wedding? Interesting. The real fireworks started about 3 days into her trip. She was due to be there for a week. I got a call from an unknown number. Figured it was her trying a different line. Nope, it was her dad, Mr. Dennis Vance. By this point, Rachel had probably realized the full extent of her predicament. No money, a hotel demanding payment for the already used nights, and the remainder of her booked stay, and a canceled first-class ticket home. Mr. Vance. Tyler? Dennis Vance. What in God's name is this about Rachel being essentially trapped at that resort? Her card isn't working. The hotel is threatening to call the police if she doesn't settle the bill for the room, and that ridiculous spa day she apparently had, and her flight home has been canceled. This is your card. You sort this out now. Me? Mr. Vance. Rachel informed me she maxed out my credit card on an unauthorized spending spree after she canceled our wedding. I reported the fraudulent activity to the credit card company and the police, as is appropriate. The consequences of her actions are her own. Mr. Vance. Fraudulent? She's an authorized user. You gave her that card. This is a vindictive overreaction to a simple lover's quarrel. She was just blowing off steam. You're ruining her vacation and scaring her half to death. Me. Being an authorized user doesn't grant permission for theft, especially when she explicitly stated her intent to max it out for a personal trip after breaking off our engagement and during a period of significant disagreement. The text message makes her intent pretty clear. I have it documented. The airline and hotel charges were part of that unauthorized spree. Mr. Vance. She said she'd pay you back. This is insane. You're going to leave a young woman stranded over a shopping trip? Her mother is beside herself. He went on for a bit, yelling about how I was being unforgiving, how Rachel was sensitive and made a mistake. Not once did he suggest Rachel was actually wrong for, stealing. It was all about how I was wrong for reacting. The entitlement runs deep in that family, apparently. Mrs. Janet Vance got on the phone then, full waterworks. Tyler, please, she's our baby. She's terrified. She just needs a little understanding. You loved her. How can you do this? Think of her future. She had to buy an economy ticket on her mother's card to even get home, and now the resort is sending us bills. Me. Mrs. Vance, I did love her, and she chose to betray that trust in a very significant way. Her future is something she should have considered before committing fraud. I'm not dropping the charges. The bank is handling it, and so are the police. The fact she had to buy a new ticket home is a direct consequence of her original flight being booked fraudulently. I ended the call. It was draining. It sounds like after the spa incident, the hotel likely put a hold for the full amount of her stay, and when the card kept declining, they started demanding payment. Her original return flight, booked on my card, was canceled by Amex as part of the fraud. So she was indeed stranded until her parents bailed her out for a new flight. I don't know the full details of what happened when she finally got to an airport to leave, But it probably wasn't smooth if the authorities had been alerted by Amex about potential fraud linked to her name and travel. Her sister Heather started a group chat with me and some of our mutual friends, painting me as the villain. Tyler is being completely unreasonable. Rachel just needed a break. He's trying to destroy her life because he's bitter about the wedding and left her stranded. A few friends chimed in with, "Wow, Tyler, that's harsh." But thankfully, a couple of my close friends who know the full story and have seen the text defended me. The group chat was quickly muted. I've spent the last few days talking to an Amex fraud investigator. Super helpful, actually. They've got all the texts, the timeline of our arguments, which I had in my own messages, proving this wasn't some happy-go-lucky spree we'd agreed on. They seem to be taking it very seriously. Emotionally, I'm a wreck, but a focused wreck. The anger is still there, but it's mostly turned into this cold resolve. Every time her family tries to guilt me, it just hardens. This isn't about a lover's quarrel anymore. This is about a significant financial crime and a breathtaking lack of accountability. Update 2. Okay, things have escalated, and the sheer, unadulterated gall of Rachel and her family continues to astound me. So, after the trip from hell, as her mother dramatically called it to one of my aunts, Rachel was back home, presumably licking her wounds. I got a formal-looking letter a few days ago from a lawyer. Apparently, Rachel is now accusing me of maliciously reporting a validly authorized user, causing her emotional distress, reputational damage, and financial hardship due to her disrupted travel. They are demanding I retract my statement to Amex and the police, issue a public apology, and pay her $10,000 for her trauma and spoiled trip. I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. Then I called my own lawyer. Thankfully, my company has a legal plan and I got a decent consultation. My lawyer, Catherine, read their letter, looked at my evidence, Rachel's text, my call logs to Amex, the police report, screenshots of our arguments from the week before, and she just smiled. A very sharp, pointy smile. Catherine basically said their claim is tissue paper in a hurricane. The key things: authorized user versus fraud. Being an authorized user isn't a carte blanche for unlimited, unapproved spending, especially after a relationship termination and with explicit intent to max out for personal, non-emergency use. Her text is the smoking gun. Arguing for a week. This detail, which I mentioned to Amex and have proof of, demonstrates the relationship was already fractured. Her spending wasn't within the context of a normal, functioning relationship where such spending might, generously, be misconstrued. My enjoy text. Their lawyer tried to spin this as me giving permission. Catherine said that's a massive reach. It can easily be argued as sarcastic, especially given the immediate follow-up actions of reporting the fraud. Context is everything. The malicious claim, reporting a suspected crime with evidence to the relevant authorities, is not malicious. It's what you're supposed to do. Catherine drafted a response that was a masterpiece of polite, legal, get-stuffed. It reiterated the facts, pointed to Rachel's own admission of intent, and firmly stated that not only would I not be retracting anything or paying her a dime, but Amex was also pursuing the matter of the fraudulent charges vigorously. We also included a little note that any further attempts to harass or intimidate me would be documented and could result in further legal action from my side. The Vances have been on a smear campaign with anyone who will listen. Apparently, I'm a controlling, vindictive monster who lured poor, innocent Rachel into a trap. Mrs. Janet Vance even called my mother. My mom, bless her, is a sweet lady but has a spine of steel when her kids are messed with. She apparently told Mrs. Vance that if Rachel was innocent, she should let the legal process prove it, and that perhaps Mrs. Vance should focus on teaching her daughter about financial responsibility and not committing felonies. Mic drop from Mom. Rachel herself has been silent since her lawyer's letter, probably on their advice. But her social media, friends have sent screenshots, I blocked her everywhere, is full of vague posts about surviving betrayal and toxic relationships, and how the truth will come out. Girl, the truth is out. It came out in a text message you sent. The financial side. Amex has provisionally credited most of the charges back to me while they complete their investigation. They seem pretty confident. The stress is still there, though. It's not just the money, it's the sheer nastiness of it all. I found some of the items she bought on her day one shopping spree listed on a popular resale site. Designer bags, shoes, electronics, still with tags on. So much for refreshment, more like asset acquisition. I passed that info to Amex too. They were interested. There was a brief moment last week, late at night, where I felt a pang of something. Maybe sadness for what I thought we had. But then I remembered that text, that entitled smirk I could feel through the phone, and it just solidified my resolve. This isn't about revenge anymore. It's about consequences. She made her choices. Now she gets to live with them. I'm documenting everything. Every call, every text, every social media post I get wind of. Catherine says it's good practice. Final update. It's been a few months, and I figured I owed you all a final update. The dust has mostly settled, though there are still a few lingering particles of crazy. Let's get the big news out of the way. Rachel was officially charged with felony grand larceny and credit card fraud. Her lawyer's bluster about suing me vanished pretty quickly after my lawyer's response, and more importantly, when the DA's office picked up the case based on Amex's investigation and the police report. The evidence was just too clear-cut. Rachel's text message saying, "I maxed out your Amex Platinum. You always said you loved me," was, according to a friend in law enforcement, the nail in her coffin. It showed intent and a clear admission. She ended up taking a plea deal. Avoided jail time, which initially pissed me off, NGL. But the deal includes full restitution. She, or more likely, her parents, has to pay back the entire $22,800 to American Express. Amex had already made me whole, so this is between them now. 5 years probation, with all the lovely conditions that entails. Regular check-ins, travel restrictions, can't get into any more trouble. Mandatory financial counseling and an ethics course. The irony is delicious. A felony conviction on her record. This is the big one. That's gonna follow her around for a long, long time. Job applications, apartment rentals, travel to some countries, all impacted. The Vances are predictably blaming me for ruining Rachel's life. Mr. Dennis Vance apparently had a meltdown in the courtroom when the plea was accepted, yelling about how it was just a misunderstanding, and I was a vindictive bastard. Classy. They tried to float a story to local gossip blogs, yes, those exist, about me being an abusive ex, but my lawyer sent a very pointed cease and desist, hinting at a defamation suit, and that shut them up quick. The evidence I had, our text history, the timeline, made it clear who the real problem was. Heather, Rachel's sister, still occasionally tries to stir drama on social media with vague posts, but most of our mutual acquaintances have seen Rachel for who she is and have distanced themselves. A few of Rachel's diehard friends still think she's a persecuted saint, but honestly, who cares what they think? Their judgment is clearly questionable. As for me, the wedding funds I managed to salvage, plus what I would have spent, went into a down payment on a small condo. Just for me. It felt good to sign those papers, to build something for myself after all this. I've been focusing on work, hitting the gym, reconnecting with friends who had my back. There are still moments when the sheer audacity of it all hits me. The entitlement. The belief that "you love me" translates to "I can steal tens of thousands of dollars from you." It's a level of narcissism I still can't fully comprehend. I do feel a small, bitter satisfaction knowing she's facing real, tangible consequences. Not because I'm a vengeful person, but because it's justice. Her actions had a direct, unavoidable outcome. She gambled, thinking I'd roll over like I might have in the past. She lost. I've had a couple of therapy sessions to unpack the whole thing. It helped. Realizing that her actions were about her issues, her entitlement, her lack of character, not about my worth or any failing on my part, was freeing. So yeah, that's the end of the saga. No dramatic courtroom confession from her, no tearful apologies. She apparently maintained a sulky, defiant attitude throughout, according to reports. Just the slow, grinding gears of the justice system, delivering a very expensive and life-altering lesson. Thanks for listening, Reddit. It helped to vent and get some outside perspective when I was in the thick of it. Time to finally close this chapter and move on. Maybe I'll even try dating again in a few years. And you can bet I'll be checking credit scores and character references. Peace out. Tyler.